Channel Africa and you have got something in common. The thirst for knowledge.
It is midday and this is Africa Update coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa on Channel Africa from an African perspective. I'm Lulu Gaboo. I'm in studio with Jwalani Tulongwepe, Figile Lingwati and Tabiso Lohoko. Coming up in this hour.
We'll set up a dedicated instrument for Gaza's reconstruction in coordination with other donors' efforts. Gaza must be rebuilt.
There's been mixed reactions following the formal recognition of a Palestinian state by several world leaders. And Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has been cleared to seek re-election next year. But first up, the news with Jwalani Tulongwepe and our sports headlines with Figile Lingwati.
SABC News. The African perspective.
Thank you, Lulu. Good afternoon. 85-year-old Malawian former President Peter Mutharika is projected to return to power as the country awaits final election results this afternoon. The Malawi Electoral Commission is expected to officially declare the results of the presidential election today. Early tallies show former President Mutharika surging ahead with over 60% of the vote. Incumbent Lazarus Chakwera is Malawi's Congress Party torchbearer. Peter Mutharika represents Democratic Progressive Party in the polls. Channel Africa's correspondent in Malawi, George Mhango.
By 2 p.m. this afternoon, they will be able to announce the result. Last night, they did not indicate as to who has won. Suffice to say that there was also a court order that was obtained by the Malawi Congress Party through President Lazarus Chakwera that the commission should not announce the results looking at the complaints lodged. People are saying mudslide at the moment. Why? Because we're looking at the percentage of 65% for Peter Mutharika, and for Lazarus Chakwera is 32%.
Somalia's president has said that he is a prime target of the Islamist group Al-Shabaab. Hassan Sheikh Mohamud has told the media that militants had tried to assassinate him 5 times in the last 2 years. The BBC's Paul Njie has the story.
President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud said the Somali militant group Al-Shabaab targeted him in several locations, including in the capital Mogadishu and on the front lines. He said the latest attempt was in March this year. Despite his own direct experiences with the insurgents, Mr. Mohamud claimed the group had been weakened. However, analysts argue that Al-Shabaab's recent territorial gains in central and southern Somalia suggest that the group remains a potent threat.
The Commissioner of the Border Management Authority, Michael Masiabado, has confirmed that the BMA continues to intensify its fight against the smuggling of counterfeit goods in South Africa. On Monday, BMA border guards stationed at the Kosi Bay port of entry arrested 2 suspects and seized counterfeit goods with an estimated value of $173,000. Deputy Assistant Commissioner for Communications and Marketing at the Border Management Authority, Meme Mohotsi.
The driver and his assistant, both Mozambicans, attempted to mislead officers by claiming that the truck was transporting cooking pots and towels. However, upon a thorough inspection, the officers uncovered hidden counterfeit goods. The latest seizure forms part of the authorities' ongoing clampdown on illicit trade.
Johannesburg Executive Mayor Dada Morero in South Africa has emphasized the importance of maintaining uninterrupted education for all children. He has condemned any attempts to disrupt teaching and learning at schools. This follows a campaign launched by Operation Tudula in Soweto, calling for schools to prioritize South African learners over foreign nationals. Morero had this to say.
I do not want to enter those politics except to say no one has a right to disrupt schools. Whatever format, whatever program you are advancing, education, schools should not be disrupted. We must allow children to study. South Africa has laws, and I suppose all of us must follow the laws of the country.
Colombia's President Gustavo Petro has called for a criminal case against President Donald Trump, accusing him of ordering U.S. strikes on alleged drug trafficking boats in the Caribbean. He says the attacks killed poor, unarmed young people, possibly Colombians, in what UN experts have described as extrajudicial executions.
The young people killed by missiles in the Caribbean did not belong to the Tren de Agua gang. Perhaps nobody here even knows their names, nor to Hamas. They were from the Caribbean, possibly Colombians. And if they were Colombians, criminal proceedings should be opened against those US officials responsible, including the top official who gave the order, President Trump.
For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo-Wepe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Now, sports headline, African champions Pyramids FC of Egypt claimed their first trophy in a FIFA competition against Saudi Arabia Al Ahly. And South Africa's Springbok Sevens will start the new season as defending HSBC World Champions. I'll be back with these and other stories at the bottom of the hour.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
Well, thank you to Jolani Tulongwepe with our news update and Figile Lingwati with our sports headlines. It is 12:06 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa on DSTV's audio bouquet channel 802, OpenView channel 628, and on www.channelafrica.co.za, as well as on the SABC Plus app, available on the Apple and Google Play stores. Join us in conversation on our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube at Channel Africa 1. On Facebook at Channel Africa, you can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763 as 406 9126 #Africa Update, and let us know which country you're in. And if you have any stories that you'd like us to highlight or to focus on, send us an email. It is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or give us a call on +2711 714 4459.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Well, today on #Africa Update asks, with South Africa celebrating Heritage Day today, tell us about your heritage. Send your thoughts and your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763 as 406 9126 #Africa Update us.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
It is 12:08 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Now, there's been mixed reactions following the formal recognition of a Palestinian state by several world leaders. This comes after many reaffirmed their support for the two-state solution as the only viable path to resolving the Gaza conflict. Now, world leaders gathered at a high-level international conference for the peaceful settlement of the question of Palestine, which was co-chaired by France and Saudi Arabia. Despite the move, some still share concerns over the broader stability of the Middle East. Bunolo Maribe filed this report.
Dozens of world leaders gathered at the United Nations to back a Palestinian state, a significant diplomatic shift nearly 2 years into the Gaza war. The recognition is viewed as a critical step, granting Palestine greater international legitimacy, as well as increasing pressure on Israel and the United States to return to peace talks. It also comes after Britain, Canada, Australia, and Portugal announced their recognition of Palestine over the weekend, marking the first push since negotiations over a two-state solution stalled back in 2014. The decision was welcomed by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, who pledged coordinated international efforts for Gaza's reconstruction and economic recovery.
We Europeans will set up a dedicated instrument for Gaza's reconstruction in coordination with other donors' efforts. Gaza must be rebuilt. The Palestinian economy must be relaunched. And I invite all of you to join in the effort to make this happen.
But not everyone welcomed the move.
Before October 7th, there was a debate about that in Israel. After October 7th, it's off the table. Now we are focused on bringing the hostages. We are focused on eliminating Hamas. And when the day will come that there will be a genuine Palestinian leadership that will condemn terrorism, you're going to hear President Abbas soon. He is paying salaries to terrorists as we speak. When the day will come that there will be genuine leadership, we will speak with the Palestinians.
Reactions across the world were also divided.
I think it's a good thing. I think the Palestinian people have suffered a lot. I mean, they're not responsible for everything that Hamas has done, so I think it's about time.
It's a step, and it should be done even before that, because now almost 78 years since 1948, it should be now the time to make peace for two states.
Now this recognition of the state of Palestine is a positive thing, but it's just talk. Nothing is being implemented on the ground. Gaza has been subjected to genocide for 2 years in an implementation of Israeli plans. So I hope they take action on the ground.
We can see that every time that Hamas feels that his narrative is getting stronger and that Israel image is collapsing in the world, we see that they pull away from negotiations. It gives them more strength. It encourages them to continue this war, to continue holding hostage my brother Aviatar, dozens of other hostages, and also the Gazans.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump is expected to address Arab and Muslim leaders with a proposal for peace and post-war governance in Gaza. Bonolo Maribe, SABC News.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
The United States was very vocal at the beginning of South Africa's G20 presidency, and this is largely due to strained relations with South Africa at the time, that they were not really keen on participating. Where do they stand right now?
The US is planning to take over the presidency of the G20 next year, and our understanding from them is that they intend to continue to do so, and therefore it is quite difficult then to be in a situation where you are not attending deputies.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
It is 12 after 12 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has been cleared to seek re-election next year. This could extend his rule to nearly half a century. Museveni has been credited with stabilizing Uganda, but critics have denounced the suppression of political opponents, human rights abuses, and current corruption scandals. Now, for more on this, we are joined on the line by our correspondent in Uganda, Mike Arareng. Mike, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Thank you very much, Lulu Gaboo, and a very good afternoon to you.
Now, Mike, when the president took power in 1986, he said the problem facing Africa was not the people, but the leaders who want to stay in power. Clearly, this is no longer the case, seeing that the 81-year-old is seeking re-election, and it's close to half a century of him being in power.
Well, as you stated before, this will be the seventh term for President Yoweri Gaboo Museveni since he took power in January 1986. Museveni has been in power for the last 39 years, and this month he clocked 81 years. Many people believe that in the ruling party, anyone suspected of harboring presidential ambition risks being isolated completely.
Now, not only in the ruling party, but now this is now also extending to political opponents and what is happening with them. What are we seeing? What are we facing for next year's election?
Well, for example, the opposition actually has been having their own internal risks, and this actually has given an upper hand to Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who still has more support, more especially in the rural areas. And yesterday, actually, on Tuesday, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni was the first person to be officially declared a nominated candidate for the 2026 presidential election. The Electoral Commission confirmed that they are successful, met all the requirements set out in the Presidential Election Act. After the nomination, President Museveni's campaign team was instructed to submit a schedule of campaign meetings and media appearances. And as I speak right now, in 1 hour time, the opposition leader, the leader of the opposition party, National Unity Platform, Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu, popularly known as Bobby Wine, will be nominated at the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. At first, he had to face challenges due to not having enough supporter signatures from 36 districts, and this caused fear and panic because the Electoral Commission had announced that he will be disqualified. One of the key requirements is for a presidential candidate to have 100 supporter signatures from all the 135 districts in Uganda. It was only up to Sunday when Robert Chagulanyi managed to get the signature required after thousands of supporters flocked the headquarters of the National Unity Platform in Kampala from all the 36 districts. Already there was fear of chaos in the whole country.
Now, Mike, because of time, we just need to keep it a little brief. What's the reaction on the ground from the citizens of Uganda?
The citizens of Uganda actually, they are not happy with what is happening now, because I can give you an example. After you mentioned, Robert Chagulanyi had planned a massive rally in Kate, a suburb in Kampala, but police have refused the venue and only gave him permission to address his supporters far away from Kampala City in a place called Redaga. Tension is mounting as police have been deployed in Kampala City for fear of chaos, as thousands of supporters, as I speak right now, in Kampala streets. Actually, they are singing and they are chanting. And actually,
what exactly, Mike, you say that some citizens are singing and chanting. What exactly are they chanting? What are they hoping will come out from this?
Just because they are happy to see their leader from the opposition, Robert Chagulanyi, being nominated today at the Electoral Commission. So they say that it's only Chagulanyi who can actually contest with President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Most of the opposition leaders actually they have pulled out, and it's only one who is called Nadala Masabi, the former Secretary General of Forum for Democratic Change, who actually is also contesting in the next year election.
Now, Mike, has Uganda's Electoral Commission said how they will be treating the elections next year after Bobby Wine said victory had been stolen in 2021? And what steps are being or have they put in place to ensure that this is going to be a free and fair election?
Well, as you have just stated, the chairman of the Electoral Commission, Biamukama, has actually been trying to tell all the Ugandan citizens that efforts are being done to make sure that the elections are conducted in a free and fair manner, so that all the Ugandan citizens will actually get a good result after the election. So we are still waiting whether both sides both sides actually will be catered for in terms of of the law. Because when we talk of the law, most of the time we find that the opposition, they are always being isolated, they are being victimized by the police and the security personnel. So we are waiting this time around, what is it going to happen?
Well, Mike, just before we wrap up, what are some of the things that the president highlighted yesterday during his announcement?
Well, according to his speech, what he talked about is that, first of all, he thanked immediately after his nomination, after being nominated, Museveni drove to the independence grounds in Kololo, Kampala, where he addressed a huge gathering, close to 2 million people, and he expressed gratitude to party leaders, religious figures, cultural representatives, and the citizens, and all those who endorsed his nomination paper.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update. We are going to leave it there for today. That's our correspondent in Uganda, Mike Arareng, joining us on the line.
Your window to the continent and beyond. Africa Update. Only on Channel Africa. Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
It is 21 after 12 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Now, South Africans are today celebrating Heritage Day, a day that honors the country's diverse cultures and rich heritage. Now, the day serves as an opportunity for South Africans to embrace their unique cultural identity and to learn about the traditions, languages, and histories that have shaped the nation. And to discuss how South Africa's diversity can become its superpower, we have on the line Ronel Klein, CEO of Fluid Rock Governance Group. Ronel, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update, and happy Heritage Day to you. Ronel, are you there? All right, we seem to be having some connection issue there with Ronel. As we try and get her back on the line, how are you celebrating Heritage Day today? And, it is Heritage Day in South Africa. How are you celebrating? And we're asking everyone else, the rest of the continent, to tell us about your Heritage Day. Send us your thoughts and your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, and at Channel Africa 1 on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763 that's 406-9126 hashtag Africa Update. Ask, how are you generally? Tell us about your heritage and how you generally celebrate it and what it means to you. Hashtag Africa Update. Ask. It is 22 after 12 Central African time.
Your window to the continent and beyond. Africa Update. Only on Channel Africa. Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Well, Ronel, I'm told you are on the line. Ronel, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update, and happy Heritage Day to you.
Thanks so much, Lulu. It's wonderful to be on your show today.
Now, how is South Africa's diversity more than culture, and how can South Africans turn it into a superpower?
Thank you, Lulu. It's actually such an energizing and hopeful concept. And just because it's Heritage Day, let's look at the world through some rose-tinted glasses, even though there remain a lot of challenges that we acknowledge. So the reality is South Africa is part of a global economic race. We compete. So we cannot just navel gaze internally. We need to understand that we compete with countries, other countries in Africa and internationally, and we are growing in a very, very slow rate. So if our economy performs, it will benefit every South African. So it brings us to the next question to say, how do we compete better? And just like businesses will ask, what's our unique selling proposition, a country could ask, what's unique to us? What makes us South Africans unique? And sometimes diversity in South Africa is weaponized against us. But looked at it differently, it's actually a superpower. Our social diversity is something that not other countries don't have. Now, when we mean diversity, I think we need to just unpack it a little bit. Of course, diversity is the primary layer, which is race, our gender, our age, and today, as we are celebrating our culture or heritage. If you overlay that with a secondary diversity lens, which is your education, your family structures, your socio-economic backgrounds, even though there's challenges, and with a third layer, you add cognitive, experiential diversity, you include political beliefs, neurodiversity, and problem-solving styles. If you bring all of that together, we actually have so much potential within South Africa. And if you bring all of that together, there could be an amazing intellectual cross-pollination that can really drive better leadership, planning, innovation, and implementation, which is really a big problem in South Africa. So it's actually quite an energizing concept.
Now, how does the government of national unity reflect both the challenges and the promise of working across differences?
Yeah, so let's look at the challenges first. And of course, we know the government of national unity has brought us plenty of drama and entertainment, on a lighter side. But if you really look at it, it's only been 1 year. And from a psychological perspective, there has been a massive shift, especially within some ANC members, because they have had to move from dominance to shared power. It's not just political, it's personal. And when we look at change in any organization, it takes time. So when I'm listening to some of the analysts, they are saying that, we haven't seen much from the government of national unity, but that we have to actually apply some sort of patience. Now, Prof. Gumede said that if we look at governments since 1847, coalition governments are actually one of the most successful form of governance, and that brings us to the promise, which is the hope. Now, South Africans haven't felt hope and in some shape or form, and what the GNU did bring was saying things could change for the better. Now, from a governance perspective, it means that it brought a balance of power to some extent, some accountability. There was a lot of despair and disappointment after the Zondo Commission, with some of the culprits still going free. But after the election, some analysts have said that, listen, society did vote differently. They acted differently. So even some of the commissions that's going on at the moment, there is some hope in the sense that it will lead to change. Now, if we think of Parliament as an organization, one of the key roles is to say, how do we deploy capital and talent effectively? Now, what the diversity brings, and to my previous point, if we can get in Parliament this intellectual cross-pollination, it could really, really bring up a lot of promise. In addition, it really opens the talent pool when it comes to managing our country. And that is where I think there's quite a lot of excitement in social diversity when you link it to the government of national unity.
Now, just speaking of you touched on young people there, and there's also the issue of unlocking jobs and investment and growth in the country. With the pairing, obviously, with the strong governance in the country. Now, more than anything now, we seem to be, we kind of need to be looking at young people going in a direction of, creating jobs for themselves, that is entrepreneurship and building businesses on their own. How do we work around that, especially with the fact that South Africa's young population is a hidden engine for innovation and development? Just unpack that for us.
Lulu, absolutely. So, youth in South Africa, they're not just the leaders of tomorrow, but they are also disruptors, not just of tomorrow, but they could be today. But they really do need the right systems in which they can operate in a very, very strong setting. So in South Africa, our population, there's about 60% that are under the age of 35. And if we harness that useful enterprise correctly, it can really lead to a demographic dividend that South Africa can harness in future. Now, young people at the moment, the next generation, they are what we call digital natives. They grow up with technology, they are used to it, and I understand that we have a large population that do not have access to that. But if we just talk about the mean in the cities, so that means that they are also very willing and able to create and adapt. They have ideas, they're very entrepreneurial, and I think the idea of you are going to school, going to university, and then you're going to get a job is changing in the sense of you need to make your own dream come true.
Yeah,
and how do you do that?
Yeah. Well, Ronelle, we have run out of time and are going to have to leave it there for today. Thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update. And once again, happy Heritage Day to you. That's Ronelle Klein, CEO of Fluid Rock Governance Group, joining us on the line. And in breaking news, Malawi's President Lazarus Chakwera has conceded defeat 2 hours before the Malawi Electoral Commission was due to announce the winner of last week's elections. Let's take a listen to Chakwera making that announcement. We have been following this story with the elections taking place in Malawi last week, and we are going to be late for news and everything else that comes forward. But for now, let's listen to Chakwera's message to the people.
And so it is only right that I concede defeat out of respect for your will as citizens and out of respect for the Constitution. But regardless of whether or not you voted, and regardless of how you voted, if you are a Malawian citizen anywhere in the world, I want to thank you for conducting yourself throughout this election in a peaceful, orderly, and lawful manner.
And that was Lazarus Chakwera, Malawi's president, conceding defeat with that. And now our correspondent in Malawi, George Mango, joins us on the line. I mean, George, good afternoon. Did you see this coming? Was this even in the books in terms of the election process? And I guess with Mutharika leading for some time, it came to this point. Tell us what's happening there.
A very good afternoon. So in the first place, this was likely to be seen because the way Peter Mutharika was leading, it was a massive one, landslide. And just yesterday, when former President Bakiri Molozi phoned President Chakwera to talk to him, to say he has to accept defeat, that also pointed to the fact that the two people, or the two, have been talking and have been in talks for quite a number of times. So it was not even a surprise, but you know what, Malawians were just waiting to say, I mean, how or why is President Chakwera taking so long to concede defeat? But that the press statement was issued just maybe 30 minutes ago, before 12 noon. Each and every Malawian thought that maybe indeed the president is going to concede defeat. And of course, the message is very clear from the president based on what he is saying now in Chichewa vernacular. But in English, he summed it up all to say he has accepted defeat. Why? Because Malawians have chosen Peter Mutharika to lead the nation for the next 5 years, and that it's the will of his candidature that has failed Malawians. So no wonder it's not time for him to continue clinging to power, and is looking forward to 2 p.m. when the announcement of the winner is going to be declared. So that is basically what he has said, accepting defeat and paving the way for the next leader.
And what is the reaction from just the citizens on the ground? They went out, they cast their ballots, 64% in terms of the voters' roll. So what are they saying now? What's their reaction on the ground?
The reaction is quite of a mixed bag because this was not anticipated from them. Why? Because you know what? Just this morning, a number of banks across the country through the Bankers Association of Malawi told the nation that banks will not be operational. The security system was also, being, put in targeted areas. in the event that maybe he doesn't accept defeat at 2 p.m. But as I speak, quite a number of students also have been knocking off from different schools, something that was scary, thinking that maybe he's not going to accept defeat. But that he has accepted defeat, it's now becoming to normalcy. Life is becoming to normalcy, more especially here in the commercial capital, Blantyre. You know, people are now relieved with the statement that he has accepted defeat. So it's like life is now going back to normal. But it's a pity for maybe the sympathizers of his Malawi Congress Party because they have been going out, flat out, disputing the results.
Yeah.
So here, their president has said he has accepted defeat and life has to move on.
Well, George, we have run out of time and are going to have to leave it there. But thank you so much for joining us on the line. That's our correspondent in Malawi, George Mango, joining us there and unpacking for us the breaking news happening. It just happened in Malawi with Malawi's President Lazarus Chakwera conceding defeat 2 hours before the Malawi Electoral Commission was due to announce the winner of last week's election. And that's how we ended. We're handing over actually to the news team with Jwalani Tulongwepe standing by.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Lulu. Making headlines, the Eswatini government has confirmed that a Jamaican man deported from the US under President Donald Trump's tough new immigration rules has been sent to his home country, which is Jamaica. And Colombia's President Gustavo Petro has called for a criminal case against President Donald Trump, accusing him of ordering US strikes on alleged drug trafficking boats in the Caribbean. I will have details on these and other stories at 1 o'clock.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective. Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
In our sports update this hour, as we begin, it's football news. African champions Pyramids FC of Egypt claimed their first trophy in a FIFA competition with a statement 3-1 victory over Saudi Arabia's Al Ahly at a packed King Abdullah Sports City in Jeddah on Tuesday night. On a night that showcased African club football at its sleek, powerful best, Fiston Mayele's treble delivered the FIFA African Asian Pacific Cup and kept the Egyptian champions on course in the FIFA Intercontinental Cup 2025 pathway. The Cairo club, winners of last season's Total Energies CAF Champions League, reached this stage by dispatching Auckland City 3-0 in Cairo on the 14th of September. Mandla Mashimbi, the head coach of South Africa's women's national cricket team, made it clear that he doesn't want to depend only on certain individuals to carry the team and wants every player in the squad to be a match winner on any given day. The Proteas are in Pakistan preparing for the upcoming ODI Cricket World Cup in Sri Lanka and India. The Proteas women will next be in action on Thursday in a World Cup warm-up match against Bangladesh in Colombo.
Obviously, that's not my dream as a coach. I would like a lot more players to be, putting their hand up. And hopefully that happens at the right time again. Maybe we get to the World Cup and we can see other players actually playing a role in us having an impact and giving ourselves the best chance to win matches. I'm not one coach that want to rely on a certain number of players. I'm more interested in a big chunk of the team actually playing a role in us winning matches.
On to rugby news. South Africa's Springbok Sevens will start the new season as defending HSBC Sevens world champions. But for Blitzbok coach Philip Snyman, it will not be a year of protecting their title at all costs. Rather, according to Snyman, another holistic approach can be expected from one of the country's finest export products over many years, with the Blitzboks hoping to again combine growth and building blocks with success and glory on some new playing pitches across the globe. Let's end with athletics. Junior world 400-meter champion Udeme Okon described competing in the 4x400 meters relay final at the World Senior Championships in Tokyo, where South Africa ended an 8th-year medal drought, as the best feeling of his young career. The Team South Africa, which sent 48 athletes to Tokyo, returned with just one medal on Tuesday morning, proudly carried by Okon.
It was a good feeling, running against guys that I look up to as well. It was just a thing of me going out there and keeping my head straight. Obviously, I couldn't see anything, but I could obviously still continue running. I didn't care what that didn't stop me, so I just went out there and do what I enjoy.
For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fide Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. AUSISA, the Association of Water and Sanitation Institution of South Africa, is a platform uniting Africa's water professionals. This November, Africa leads the conversation on water and sanitation. Join global and African leaders at the AUSISA Africa and Global South Dialogue 2025 from the 9th till the 12th of November at the Emperor's Palace, Johannesburg. From policy innovation, this is where action meets collaboration for a water-secure future. Register today at ausisa-watersan-dialogue.org or follow at AUSISA on social media. AUSISA, working together for sustainable water and sanitation security in Africa. Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Good afternoon. South Africa's National Credit Regulator says it's working closely with the South African Police Service to crack down on unregistered micro-lenders across the country. Any money lender must be duly registered with the NCR, which is a prerequisite to monitor compliance in terms of the National Credit Act. Lenders must be certified by the NCR, and this certificate must be clearly visible in their business premises. Senior Legal Advisor at the NCR, Ntabiseng Sifudi.
The various raids that we do in our provinces, we work closely with our stakeholder currently, which is the South African Police Service, together with the members of the community. So as the NCR, yes, we do our monitoring in each and every provinces, but we also rely on the consumers as well to lodge their complaints and to bring such unscrupulous lenders to our attention in order for us to go and do investigations and have an impact.
Meanwhile, the regulator says that there's a need to amend the National Credit Act as illegal moneylenders are thriving. The majority of South Africans are struggling to make ends meet, and more often than not, they turn to credit and debt when they run out of money due to the high cost of living. The NCR is a government body that advocates for a fair and non-discriminatory marketplace for access to consumer credit and promising responsible credit granting and credit use and effective redress. It says most people are borrowing from loan sharks despite the danger attached to it because it's quick cash. Sifudi, again, comments.
We have been working extensively as the Education Department, partnering with the SAPS to also educate these consumers that, yes, there are instances where not all of you might qualify for the loan, but if you approach those banks, there are processes that they follow, the reasons why you do not qualify for a loan. A way forward, remember, we do have the National Credit Act, where it is recommended and where we can see, as times change, the need to amend the Act. That will also be done. But it can be done through us collaborating as government with other organizations as well as the community.
Commercial banks across Malawi will close at midday today, reducing business hours in anticipation of increased public activity as the Malawi Electoral Commission has announced the national election results. The Bankers Association of Malawi confirmed the decision, stating that it followed extensive consultations with relevant authorities to safeguard employees, customers and banking infrastructure. The government of Botswana has expressed its intention to acquire a controlling stake in De Beers by the end of October. This Anglo-American, which owns 85% of De Beers, seeks to divest its stake as part of a restructuring launched 6 months ago. Africa's largest diamond producer says a majority ownership would mean greater influence across the global diamond supply chain and an opportunity to reinforce the value of natural stones. Independent policy researcher and political economist Kevin Tutani says that he expects the government to be successful in this second bid for control of De Beers, even if there might be another bidder for the company.
Well, whoever is going to buy the stake in De Beers without the government of Botswana's consent or approval is setting themselves up for failure. So I would expect the government of Botswana to find success in acquiring the majority stake as long as it can secure enough capital to cross the 2.4 billion US dollar line, which is needed to have majority stake in that company, which they seek to have majority control over. So whoever now, independent of the government of Botswana, who is not them, who want to get majority stake, they have to be really careful because you need government approval for you to be sure that there will be support.
2/3 of US-based security chiefs at large technology companies say the threat of violence towards their executives has increased the past 2 years, with many now providing protection for senior staff and their families. This is according to a survey of 2,352 security chiefs at large and medium-sized companies in 31 countries conducted by US security and staffing company Allied Universal. The company found that businesses around the world would have faced increased threats of violence, with the U.S. technology sector the worst affected. It says of all of the security chiefs surveyed across multiple sectors, 42% reported a significant increase in threats of violence against company executives, but that this rose to 66% for U.S.-based security chiefs in technology companies. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,488 naira. Botswana 13 pula 15, Kenya 128 shilling 55, and Zambia 23 kwacha 63. The BRICS countries in Brazil, the dollar there will cost you 5 ruble 31, Russia 83 rubles 59, India 88 rupees 67, China 7 yuan 11, and in South Africa the dollar will cost you 17 rand 28 cents. 73 pence British pound for to the euro. Gold is trading at $3,764 and platinum at $1,494 per ounce. Brent crude oil is at $67.79 a barrel. For any business stories you would like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business in Johannesburg, I'm Tabiso Lohoko.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
Well, thank you to Tabiso Lohoko with our business news. It is 12:47 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. An international team of scientists have discovered a teenage fossil of a rare dinosaur group in Mongolia, representing a new species, the Pachycephalosaur, and the most complete skeleton of this dinosaur family to date. The discovery may provide answers around the dinosaur group, and for more we are joined on the line by Dr. Ryan Tucker from Stellenbosch University's Department of Earth Sciences, who is part of the team. Dr. Tucker, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Yes, no, wonderful, and happy Heritage Day.
Thank you, and happy Heritage Day to you too. And congratulations on this discovery. Tell us about this. What do we know about this particular dinosaur group, and why is this discovery so important?
Well, several instances, but Pachycephalosaurs have been known for a while. These head-butting dinosaurs, very iconic. They've been in Jurassic Park before. But the record that we have of them is very fragmentary, and what we do have of them is very minor. We have, bits and pieces of skeletons, and not a lot to go on. And so when we found Zavacephala in Mongolia, we were really excited because not only is this the oldest kind of occurrence of this dinosaur in the rock record that we know so far, but it's actually really complete. And so we had different portions of the skeleton that we have never seen before of this type of dinosaur. And so for many reasons, people on this team got really excited by this discovery.
Now, how did you come to the age or thereabout age of this particular dinosaur?
So, and that's part of my job is actually aging the rock. Ideally, we find minerals that preserve radiometric clocks, so like uranium and other isotopes, and we can use that are reliable clocks in terms of the time in rock. But Mongolia is exceedingly complicated in terms of its geology, and a lot of these clocks are missing. And so we have to relate it to either other dinosaurs of similar form or use various kind of rock record methods like stratigraphy to try to give it an age. But what's really cool is we've actually formulated a novel methodology in age dating some of this stuff, and that's a whole other paper coming out in a couple weeks to a month. So I'll be able to talk more on that later on, but suffice it to say we use different methods to actually age the rock around the fossil, yep.
And how long does this type of finding take to incorporate in previous findings?
Well, what's neat about this is because it was so complete, we had to compare it to a lot of different dinosaurs. So, it'll take a week to get out of the field. We'll jacket it, we'll prepare it, we'll get it to a museum. It takes cleaning and preparation and kind of care and nurturing to get it to where it can be described. But then my colleagues, the biology-sided kind of paleontologists will compare the actual bones to other organisms to make sure that it is something new and we haven't seen this before. And then once they're sure about that, so it could take, a year to a couple of years to actually get this up to the point where we actually have the paper submitted and in review. So it's a very time-intensive process, but we want to make sure that we, get the accurate science out there.
And just, paint us a picture of how then you realize what the find is and just the reaction with everyone on the ground there as a team.
Well, not to embarrass any of my colleagues, but something like this, we're like dancing in the field. We actually just got back from Mongolia about a week ago, and we found even more new dinosaurs, and we were literally dancing and singing wahoo in the field. So it's very exciting. But we knew that we had something different just because the kind of rough age of the rock that we were in, and we weren't expecting this dinosaur to be there. Zavalacephalus was a complete surprise in terms of what was there and what's a surprise to be there. So we were already celebrating when we found it, let alone how gorgeous. I mean, if you've seen the photos, the skull is absolutely amazing. So to find something like that, we're already like little kids in a candy shop and smiling ear to ear. But to find out all the information out of it that we have, that's just icing on the cake. It's amazing to have that.
And just in wrapping up, the team as a whole, how many people do you have in this particular team and who've worked, to get to this point?
So this is the early part of our crew, and it's a collaboration between South Africa, Japan, and the United States, and probably about 8 major players in terms of researchers. But we've actually just received major funding from the National Science Foundation and the Natural Research Foundation of South Africa in a bilateral grant, and we've now enlarged our research group to about 20 members. And those are principal investigators that are going to kind of help us answer questions about this very crucial time in Earth's history. So,
well, congratulations, and thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you very much, and I hope you have a good day.
Thank you to you too. That's Dr. Ryan Tucker from Stellenbosch University's Department of Earth Sciences, who is part of the team who discovered the teenage dinosaur. It is 12:53 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. And going to today's question on hashtag Africa Update asks, South Africa is celebrating Heritage Day today. Tell us about your heritage. Share your thoughts and your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763 at 406 9126. Hashtag Africa Update Us.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has told the Council of Foreign Relations that he had hoped President Donald Trump would attend the G20 Leaders Summit in November, but did not appear to be living up to that expectation. He was in conversation at the Council on Foreign Relations where he touched on the work South Africa was leading in the G20, but also engaged in a number of domestic issues from the Government of National Unity, why the African National Congress lost its outright majority and efforts to attract foreign direct investment into the country. Our CFR is a leading independent, non-partisan think tank on foreign policy in the United States and engages a number of world leaders on the margins of the UN General Assembly. Show Bryce Peace has more.
President Ramaphosa punted the work of the G20 under South Africa's theme of solidarity, equality and sustainability and addressed the non-attendance of President Trump at the November Leaders Summit.
In November, we hope to adopt a declaration that will deal with a variety of issues. Issues such as how we finance climate change, much as President Trump denying that there's climate change and damage. Many people around the world do believe that there is climate change and we need to address it. We will also be addressing the issue of the debt burden that many countries have, particularly countries in the global south, in Africa especially, that have huge debt burdens and are having to pay much more than countries in the north. So those are some of the issues that we will be addressing, and in many ways it's an exciting moment.
On the domestic front, Ramaphosa explained that South Africa had gone through 3 eras since the dawn of democracy.
When we developed greatly during President Mandela's time and President Mbeki's time, and then we faced decline during the presidency that followed thereafter, where we had what we call state capture. The capture of state institutions, corruption was rife, and we're now dealing with all that. But in the course of all that mess that happened, a number of key companies, if you like, that are involved in the services, for instance, in electricity and water and logistics, were also captured and collapsed. So we're in the process of raising them from the floor, and we're making progress.
He also reflected on why the ANC lost its outright majority.
Our former president broke away and formed his own party, and he has a great following in one of the provinces. So that reduced our majority, and he had his own gripes, and he was largely also the person who led the government.
And that is South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa ending that report by Showan Bryce Peace. And we say a happy Wednesday, happy Hump Day, and happy Heritage Day to Tebogo Lekoleni. How are you today?
I'm fantastic, Lulu. Happy Heritage Day to you. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, man.
Listen, we've got a few interesting conversations this afternoon as we're celebrating Heritage Day, introducing people to different cultures, heritages. Our first conversation is going to be about Afri-Chine experience. Afri-Chine. This is Africa and China coming together for an experience, Afri-Chine. And we'll be getting into conversation with the founder of the Afri-Chine Experience 2025, Tseho Mhlongo, to tell us a bit more about these two cultures coming together and what the hope and outcome is for this event. And then we get into conversation with Monde Msutwana, Grammy award-winning composer. And Redford House, the Hills music teacher, telling us how education and artistry come together, bringing those two worlds together, and what an inspiration he must be for the kids down there. And then we get into conversation with a body transformation expert by the name of Christina Mkabela. She's been doing this since 2010, and as festive season approaches us, many people want to get into December looking fit, slim,
okay, so
and
what
ready
type
for a
of
new
transformation? I guess everyone has to listen in and to exactly find out.
Full body transformation, right? If you want to lose weight, especially those who want to lose weight during this time of the year. You didn't manage to do it during the winter time when you were supposed to. Now you've got the last 2-3 months to go. What can you do? Perhaps diet changes and lifestyle changes can help you get there to kickstart the new year on a positive note.
Well, all that coming up at the top of the hour on The Upside with Tebogo Lekoleni and Matsiko Musito. For myself, Lulu Gaboo, and the Africa Update team, it's been a good one. Enjoy your Heritage Day if you are in South Africa or South African or at any part of the world. And we will do this again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Lulu. Good afternoon. Malawi's President Lazarus Chakwera has conceded defeat 2 hours before the Malawi Electoral Commission was due to announce last week's election. Early tallies show former President Peter Mutharika surging ahead with over 60% of the vote. Chakwera is Malawi Congress Party torchbearer, while Mutharika represents the Democratic Progressive Party in the polls. This is how Chakwera delivered his address to the nation.
And so it is only right that I concede defeat out of respect for your will as citizens and out of respect for the Constitution. But regardless of whether or not you voted, and regardless of how you voted, if you are a Malawian citizen anywhere in the world, I want to thank you for conducting yourself throughout this election in a peaceful, orderly, and lawful manner.
The Eswatini government has confirmed that a Jamaican man deported from the US under President Donald Trump's tough new immigration rules has been sent to his home country, Jamaica. Orville Isaac Etoria, at age 62, was voluntarily repatriated at the weekend, but his treatment has been condemned by the Legal Aid Society of New York, which says Etoria came to the U.S. as a child and had lawful permanent resident status there for decades. Etoria and 4 others from Cuba, Laos, Vietnam and Yemen were described by the U.S. government as depraved monsters when they were expelled to Eswatini in southern Africa in July. Since then, they have been held in solitary confinement in maximum security prisons in the capital Mbabane. Lawyers for the remaining 4 deportees say they have not been able to contact them, but Eswatini's government has said that it is engaging in efforts to repatriate them all. Somalia's president has said that he is a prime target of the Islamist group Al-Shabaab. Hassan Sheikh Mohamud has told the media that the militants had tried to assassinate him 5 times in the last 2 years. The BBC's Paul Njie has the details.
President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud said the Somali militant group Al-Shabaab targeted him in several locations, including in the capital Mogadishu and on the front lines. He said the latest attempt was in March this year. Despite his own direct experiences with the insurgents, Mr. Mohamud claimed the group had been weakened. However, analysts argue that Al-Shabaab's recent territorial gains in central and southern Somalia suggest that the group remains a potent threat.
The South African Society of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, the Society for Obstetric Medicine South Africa, and the South African Society for Ultrasound in Obstetrics and Gynecology says there is no reliable evidence linking paracetamol use in pregnancy to autism spectrum disorder. This follows US President Donald Trump's suggestion of such a link, sparking alarm among expectant mothers and healthcare providers. In line with several international bodies, the societies confirmed that paracetamol taken at recommended therapeutic doses during pregnancy remains safe and does not cause autism in children. Chair of the Society of Obstetric Medicine in South Africa, Dr. Jared Zamparini, elaborates.
What we do know is that untreated fever and pain in pregnancy carry real risks, including miscarriage, congenital anomalies, and poor outcomes for both mother and baby. Paracetamol remains the safest and most effective option. Pregnant women should feel reassured. Paracetamol, when used appropriately, is safe. If you are concerned, however, please speak to your GP or obstetrician or antenatal clinic.
Colombia's President Gustavo Petro has called for a criminal case against President Donald Trump, accusing him of ordering U.S. strikes on alleged